Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's set the stage for our next match, where China's OMG will be facing off against Korea's Samsung Blue. Let's start with OMG. They have to be ecstatic over that ridiculously late game win against Fnatic earlier today, but I think they need to fix a lot of the mistakes that they had in-game against Fnatic because it will be punished against Samsung Blue.
I don't really know if they were ecstatic about winning that game. Usually, as a pro team, when you win a game like that, you still feel pretty bad. Right, Double Lift?
Oh, yeah, you feel terrible. You're like, we won the game, but we were one auto attack on our nexus from losing.
Probably, how do you feel about those games? I figure you just enjoy the 70-minute ones.
Yeah, the 71-minute ones just feel really nice for me. But the faults that OMG had where they kind of were going for kills over objectives and kind of chasing, I don't know if they can fix that in a day kind of thing.
No, that's like 3 years of League of Legends for them. If like you just chase the kills no matter what. That's Chinese law.
Well, let's talk about one player who... Okay, I'm going to say it, who was flawless in that game. Gogoing, 5-0-15 on that rise. I think he had a phenomenal performance. Monty, you're shaking your head. What is it you didn't like?
I didn't like... He didn't maximize his advantage in the lane swap that I showed, so... He did get a small advantage out of it. He was great in the late game, though. He also made some mistakes with teleport, overcommitting to kills, but it shows you don't want to let this guy have rise. Pretty much everybody in China knows that. Maybe someone will learn it today.
Yeah, but at the same time, Acorn had a really, really good game against Ackerman last time. He played Maokai into Rumble, which many consider Rumble to be a really good answer to Maokai, and he did super well against Ackerman. So Acorn's kind of on an upswing. Gogoing's on an upswing. I'm curious to see what will happen top lane.
I'm happy you actually mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit about Samsung Blue. Last time they played, it was a fairly convincing win against OMG. If we look at the objective control, and I'm just reading over my notes of how the game played out, and it's mostly just Samsung Blue did this right, Samsung Blue did this right. What do they need to do, considering this is their first game of the day and they're coming in cold after seeing OMG win that game earlier today? Anything special, Double Lift?
I think they just have to understand OMG has a lot of weaknesses to, as you saw against Fnatic, split pushing. The rotations are very, I guess OMG only rotated one time really well that game, in my opinion, when they 5-man bottom lane. So I think Samsung Blue should be more rotation focused, try to avoid team fights and split push.
I also think it might be worth them just sort of, I'm trying to think of the right term for it, but basically picking a little bit more for lane than maybe they normally would, just because we've seen games already, like, you know, Peke practically hard carrying the game against LMQ by crushing that mid lane so darn hard with Lysandra versus Fizz. And all the points of power of OMG are basically those solo lanes. Just get some lane matchups that aren't going to, like, hard lose the matchup. Like, don't give OMG the chance to carry from individual play. And then you can just be like, well, even if our comp's a little bit worse than 35 minutes, we're just going to play the map better than you, so it's okay.
Well, let's take a look. We've heard a little bit of opinions on the teams. Let's see where your predictions lie and see who you're actually picking in to win this game. Double Lift, first game on the desk here with a prediction. Who is it going to be, OMG or Samsung Blue?
I think Samsung Blue. Even though they're coming in cold and OMG has played a game earlier today, Samsung Blues just seems so strong. They only had one really horrible loss to Fnatic, and after that they seemed really good.
Prolly?
Yeah, I think Blue's just a really calculated and accurate team, and I think OMG's strength is capitalizing on mistakes, and I don't think Blue's going to make many this game.
Next in line, Monte Cristo.
Trevor, knock knock.
Yeah, Samsung Blue's there, I assume. Right.
Oh, you just ruined my jokes, man. Wow. Well, you're not a bro anymore.
I found the banana peel that Monte Cristo slips on. It's a knock-knock joke.
Yeah.
Right, Freak!
I'm going to go with the color of most of our shirts and ties here and go Samsung Blue. They're the clear favorite of the group. They still are. They're just a freaking great.
My tie is black.
Well,
Yeah, but your shirt's blue.
There is something I do want to talk about before we head over to the game. Samsung Blue, of course, they're in a game. They're in a group where if they concede more losses, it opens up potentials for tiebreakers. LMQ's hoping for it. Fnatic's hoping for it, especially after the results earlier today. Monty, you've got a very sheepish grin. Are they going to concede more losses? Do you even see it being a possibility, considering they do play Fnatic again tomorrow and LMQ, if memory serves?
I think it is a possibility in these groups, sure. I mean, I thought coming in that Blue would lose one game in the group stages, but they looked a lot better after that one loss. It seems like they've gotten it together and are playing with a little more fire right now, so...
Well, what was it about the loss that actually, or what was it in the game that cost? Is it just Fnatic completely outplayed them? Do you think there was an element of cockiness? I mean, the sister team had that last year.
I do think there was an element of cockiness in that, and the way that they played out those lanes was a little haphazard, and we saw much cleaner play, much more conservative play in the next game.
So let's take a step back, look at OMG. If memory serves, they're 2-2 in the groups. I'm going to get my little match prediction and see who they're playing tomorrow. They've got to play LMQ at the end of the day tomorrow. If they lose this game, it'll be 2-3, potentially 2-4. Freak, you've been running all of the numbers here. What is the likelihood that these guys even stand a chance if they lose this game?
Low. I kept thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure, regardless of the result, each team still has a chance, and neither team are actually locked in for a guarantee. Because no matter what, the teams are all bouncing around 3-3, and so there's always this chance for like a 3-way tiebreaker, a 2-way tiebreaker, maybe even a 4-way tiebreaker. Still, it just means winning is obviously better, and you have higher chances.
So next question, 2 players on the desk. Players are getting set up on stage, guys. We'll be moving to that in a moment or two. How do Fnatic approach this game? I mean, this is a game where, you know, they lost.
OMG?
So Fnatic lost to OMG earlier today. How do Fnatic sit on the sidelines and watch this game, knowing that they have to play Samsung Blue? How do you look for stuff to play against this tomorrow? If you were doing it, if you had to sit and you knew you were playing Dade tomorrow,
I would always
what would you be looking at? What would you be looking at if you knew you were coming up against Deft and Heart?
I would always look at my roles matchup. So, you know, if I'm Reckless, then I'm looking at Deft and I'm seeing how does he envision this matchup? So, Kog'Maw versus Lucian, how does he play it out? When does he base? When does he go ward? What items is he going to go? So, I think everyone's just looking on an individual level, and then you can kind of dial back afterwards and say, oh, they won because they're out-rotated, but I'm really confident in my matchup.
Same question for Dade.
For Dade, if I had to play against him, it would obviously highly depend on the matchup, but he's probably going to play a melee champion because we've been seeing that more and more with like the Yasuo and the Zed. I think baiting him into one of those picks and then, you know, having a pocket fizz or something like that, or some kind of pocket counter, and then by pulling the lane and calling jungle pressure, it kind of stops Dade from his playstyle of farming up and fighting by denying the farm and like extending the laning phase.
You know, I'd really look at the pick order here and see exactly where you can, like, because oftentimes Samsung Blue will pick early mids, you know, stuff like that. So that's very important in how you actually counter this, because if they start changing their pick order and Dade starts actually counter picking, then we may see things like Ziggs, we may see things like Twisted Fate.
So, we do have the standings graphic up. The players are taking to the stage, so sorry about the delay. This is just to help with some of the numbers that we were talking about. Samsung Blue, they're 2-1 at the top of the group. This will get them one step closer to their guaranteed quarterfinal spot. I think the interesting story is obviously how the bottom half of this table is going to react, with OMG sitting there 2-2 with a theoretical loss, as our analysts have all predicted. They'll be tied with Fnatic. Look at the other side of the group. Let's talk a little bit about Group D, as we do have some time to kill, and we will be looking at Alliance versus Najin Shield later today. Freak, what's your take on that matchup and some of the chances that Alliance has maybe coming in?
So every single game here, especially with these two teams who tend to be more, the Korean teams here. We're talking about the favorites of the groups, right? You can see they're combined 6-1. We always know the Koreans are favorites coming in. Both these two teams tend to have their biggest weaknesses being the early game. They're very map focused, they're very sort of team fight, rotational focused, and when we saw, for example, Samsung Blue lose, it was to the individual playmaking of people like Hyuk-kyu and the rest of Fnatic. And so when you look to attack these teams, Double, if you started talking about, I want to look at my individual matchup, I agree with you, that's where the teams need to look at, is how do I outplay my opponents, because we have seen time and again that the individual skill, especially mechanically, is close for most of these roles down the line across the various teams. So when you're looking to attack those guys, you've got to look at, okay, how do I beat those guys? Now, Alliance, we saw the very same thing when they played White Shield. They had an early game lead. They made some really good plays. Reckless tried to hard carry. All these kinds of fun things happened. And then they're getting outplayed on the map. And I think you continue to play these 35-minute, then peter out compositions and do everything you can in that time to get a 10,000 gold lead.
And just like you said, I feel like Shield versus Alliance is a really interesting matchup, because all Alliance has to do, in my opinion, is use their superstar players like Froggen. Wicked's been doing really well, and just kind of pull the trigger early game like they did. They had a 7-0 lead versus Shield, and they just couldn't close it out. And I feel like if they can just recreate that, replicate it, not even a 7-0 lead, maybe just a 3-0 lead, maybe Froggen just gets a double kill randomly because they're just willing to pull that trigger, then they can snowball from there.
I mean, I think you're really discounting the power of these two teams in the late game. It's easy to say that, but Samsung Blue has lost very few games this year, and Fnatic did a very good job of that. But really, nobody else has been able to convert, especially in a longer series, besides the KT Arrows, who are that kind of aggressive team. But even then, it took them to 5 games.
And I think it's a matter of, I think, teams finding an identity they want to play for. The two teams I know that have really strong identities, thinking back to old school LoL as well, because a lot of people don't tend to watch Korean teams as much as they show these sometimes as well. Think back to old Moscow 5 when they were known as that. Aggressive, 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 pick lane bullies, win the game in 30 minutes. You think back to old CLG EU, passive, 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 Kog'Maw, Nivea, win the game in 60 minutes. And they would just play for that style. I haven't seen a lot of teams embrace that sort of style, especially in the Western world, where it's like, we're always going to go for Lucian and Corki or Caitlyn. We're always going to go for lane bullies. And we're going to know how to push an inhibitor down 30 minutes in, because at that point, you have 90% chance of winning once you crack that wall. Be a team that learns that kind of tactic. There's champion pools wide enough you can pick those most games and just rehearse that. And I think you can totally do that.
I love that idea, and that is how Fnatic won. Land every single skill shot if you can. Pick other champions if they get picked or banned away. Right, I'm going to bring us back on topic. We will be jumping into game as OMG will be taking on Samsung Blue in just a few moments' time. And to get us back on topic, let's see how you guys at home have been voting to see who's going to win. According to LOLesports.com, you're giving the edge to Samsung Blue with a mere 79% of the vote. Thank you for voting. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to throw over to the Shoutcaster desk. But before we do, we caught up with OMG to share how they strengthen the team and bond while still under the pressure of making it through to the quarterfinals.
我们 OMG 战队是一个比较注重团队理念和团队建设的队伍。
我们对团队建设的话，应该比别的队要多一点吧。
团队的话就是一起出去看电影吧，然后吃饭吃的比较多。
几乎我们参加那些活动都是一起。
就上一次我们拍了一个 MV， 还唱了一些歌。
跳舞状态或者勾引唱吧，他们两个就是唱得很好。我感觉我唱的应该最好听了。
他们觉得我唱的好一点，我也觉得可能是好一点吧。
冲进无限的星球，永不放弃的战斗，这是勇敢和自由，送给你我的朋友。
就是说各有各的味道吧，有些人就富有激情一点。 其实我觉得这个歌就是比较，我觉得挺好听的，比较活泼，然后比较励志的那种。
他这首歌的寓意就是带给我们出征的一些力量吧，给自己一些信心。其实我们除了训练之外的业余生活还是挺丰富的，这样也能促进我们大家的感情交流。
我觉得我们 OMG 像一个就大家庭一样，我们每个人的关系都非常好。
最激情的应该是无状态和灵药吧。
老钟他有时候看着灵药在前面，他就走过去抱着他，这样
感觉他们两个很有可能在搞基。
无状态的船除了灵药能上，其他人都不给上。
我们私下会经常一起去吃饭、看电影，
就是让我们更团结一些，一起做更多的事情吧。让我们有一种家的感觉。
Unfortunately, we do have a technical issue that we are working through with OMG. It's related to one of the chat boxes on the player's PC. So while the QC guys are busy working with that and trying to resolve it, we're going to keep you entertained a little bit. Production had said to me after running that video feature, I should find out who the best singer on the analyst desk is, but I don't want to put any of you through that torture, so we're not going to. I do want to talk about the Singapore stage. I want to talk about Worlds. I think, Taipei set a hell of a standard to follow. We were all a little bit worried after the SK news about the two groups being a little lopsided, but it came down to all 6 games on the last day. We had a tiebreaker. Singapore happens. Every single day has been ridiculous. Let's talk about some of the matches, some of the standout moments or players or things like that. Freak, what's shining in your mind?
I mean, I can keep repeating everyone saying Gorilla because, I mean, he's still my individual player here. I also do, I actually like the interview we had with Reckless where he said, we came into this game and said, let's just have fun, basically. He's like, the team had a meeting, said, just play the game for fun, try a little bit less hard. And that, I think to me was actually why Fnatic did so well. Like that just seems like what that team is best at is just sort of loosening up and making their individual plays. Like it's very weird, but I'm like trying to piece it together. They don't seem like they're that much of a strategic team. They just seem like an X Factor team where they just come up with these plays out of nowhere. You know, the random Fnatic brush camping. Like these aren't these like heavily rehearsed strategies. They're just really good at adapting with the flow of a game. And Fnatic taking that step back and just sort of relaxing and just playing the normal game, I think that is how Fnatic best plays, and it was good of them to sort of relax and play that style.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. This is a segment that we've called Storytime with Freak, and luckily I'm hearing that we are going to send it over to the casters to get us back into the game. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. The teams are very much ready to go. And let's check out the starting lineups for the first match. So it is going to be the blue side for China's LPL. That is going to be OMG. I should start there. Get that all over the place there. Top lane is Gogoing, LoveLing in the jungle, Cool in the mid lane, San as the AD carry, and Dade 777 on support.
And on the red side, it's Samsung Blue from Korea, of course. We have Acorn in the top lane, Spirit as the jungler, Dade in the mid lane, Deft as the AD carry, and Heart is his trustworthy support.
So where do we go with this one? This is a big, big game for OMG. They got a massive result against Fnatic earlier on today. This could actually, if I have a quick glance, take them top of the table if they were to win here.
And remember, in the first matchup here, the first day of group stages, OMG, that's where they lost all their games. It was the first time, you know, coming up here in the group stage. Maybe it was first day nerves, but since then, they have improved, and they just came off that very close win, like you said. So some people, that gets them amped up, and they want to play in the next game more cleanly. Yeah. We'll have to see how it turns out here versus Blue, though.
Cool, he did say in the interview with Shocks that there was nerves on the first day. Everyone was a bit nervous. We saw San as well in Champs League was almost sleeping on the keyboard because he was trying to control his nerves. So it seems like they're playing better, but still the game against Fnatic. I mean, there was a lot of mistakes. They could have finished the game earlier as well. They almost lost the game. One auto attack from Sanad, and it would have killed the Nexus.
I know that was crushing you inside.
It did crush me.
A lot of things could happen, a lot of different plays. So we're about to get underway. Of course, we're talking about OMG. They face Fnatic. And Samsung Blue Wall not coming in completely cold because, of course, they are scrimming with their Korean friends here, Najin White Shield. So not a bad practice partner to have when they are topping Group D. Alistair banned out first off, as well as Zillion for Samsung Blue. Remember, OMG, they do have all of the bans this time.
Yeah, this is actually the first time Samsung Blue won't have to ban Alistar, because they've banned it in every single game on blue side so far, and they played all the games on blue side, so the remaining will of course be on red side for them. Don't have to worry about the Alistar. Lee Sin, I wonder if they're going to ban it. They first picked it in the last game against OMG, and it's been one of the main champions of LoveLing back in LPL.
Another thing that Blue and LMQ both used on the first day when teams were getting wins against OMG was Rumble. So that might be a big deal here as well. They had a hard time sort of working around that mid-game team fight.
I mean, we have seen a few counters to Rumble now with the lane, so it's where you deny him all the farm in the start, you deny his experience, and you shut him down by doing this. OMG, again, I haven't actually seen them play Rumble, what I remember at least, and obviously we have seen Acorn already play it. So it could be a last ban here, otherwise they're going to have to risk it and maybe get a Ryze first pick. If it's going to be left over by Samsung Blue, we know Gogoing, he loves to play Ryze.
Final ban coming in for OMG. Will they go for one? It's going to be Ryze. Yeah, they ban it themselves. So
must be Lee Sin then.
I mean, you've still got to take it away from Acorn as well. There's, I don't know any Korean top laner that can't play Ryze, let's face it.
I mean, this Ryze ban really tells us that OMG has a very specific first pick in mind. Otherwise, Ryze would have been a perfect option. Zillion is banned, Alistar and Maokai. Some of the typical first picks are already gone. I'm looking at this Lee Sin pick, but I might tunnel on it a bit too hard. Let's wait and see.
Well, final ban coming through. Samsung Blue, what will it be? Will it be a mid laner? It will be Zed. Yes, it will. Target on Cool. So 2 bans towards him.
Oh.
Bang. Instant locks. Lee Sin.
First time LoveLing gets his Lee Sin here. I mean, it's been banned a few times. It's been first picked by the other teams a few times. They've done everything they could to keep him away from Lee Sin. Finally gets it. He's so good on Lee Sin, and he's a big playmaker.
All right, mousing over the Shaco here, but of course the Kha'Zix is much more likely. Maybe we even finally get to see that Spirit Rengar come out from Samsung Blue. But honestly, they don't have to take the jungle early. The mid lane was our featured matchup last time around, and already banning out Zed Dade versus Cool. A lot of people have mentioned how Dade would early pick mid lanes before. Not going to do it this time around, and they do have the guaranteed counter pick, so they can save that for this Cool versus Dade matchup if they need to go with counter pick this time around.
Yeah, they're gonna actually have extra counter picks because now they can pick the jungle and they can see the AD carry. OMG wants to log in, which we expect to come in the next rotation for them. And the Janna pickup, we've seen it a few times against Lee Sin. You can stop him from ever engaging onto your team because again, you have the Monsoon, you have your Howling Gale to simply knock him up when he tries to go onto your team.
And we've seen how good she is in team fights where Blue will excel. If you rush that captain's upgrade for your boots, so much mobility, and Blue are definitely the type of team that will take advantage of that very early on in things like dragon fights, especially with assassins like Kha'Zix.
They already have a lot of kiting options just with the Kha'Zix and the Janna, and disengage potential for protect the AD carry comp and a siege comp, which they love to run.
Well, something Gogoing absolutely loves is that Aurelia, and with LoveLing on the Lee Sin, we could see a heavy focus on Acorn in that top lane.
Pretty good Bash Bros combo right here. That's a very, very dangerous duo.
We have seen this combo already a few times today, and it's always the same deal. Where's Aurelia? Okay, let's go and gank for her. She's maxing her E, longer stun, and we will kill whatever top laner she's against. And it should also mean the Rumble pickup, if Samsung Blue wanted to play Rumble, is going to be very risky now against an Aurelia who can really shut him down.
Yeah, Gogoing has had a lot of success with this Aurelia in the past.
We're waiting to see what Deft is going to choose, rotating through just about every AD carry in the book, but we'll see which one he decides to finally end on. Of course, had some fantastic performances on Corki yesterday. Expecting that maybe where it will end up. Jinx currently hovered over for a while though.
I mean, Corki would work because they already have Janna and Kha'Zix for a very, very strong siege comp here, especially in the mid game. Get your Trinity Force completed, get your Magic Pen on the boots, and then you can start sieging up on towers. That would work with the first few picks. Otherwise, we have seen Deft in the OGN play Twitch a few times, and he's playing it a little bit different from what we see other Twitch players do. He's often very focused on engaging team fights actually, 5 versus 5 here, and because he has Janna and because he has the KO, he can pop out as the guy in the front and just hammer away for these 7 seconds with his ulti and without taking any damage.
Right, he can get several members low at once, and then Spirit can clean up. This is a lot how Blue operate in these team fights here. Spirit comes to clean up a lot of these kills, and they have the option of using that intervention either on Kha'Zix for when he dies in, or if Janna is not enough to keep Deft safe. I was also wondering if Deft was going to have the confidence to go with one of these AD carries without his own escape built in after what happened to him on Kog'Maw versus Fnatic. You know, his next game he pulled out the Corki and he had a really good game. Maybe that gave him again the confidence in his positioning once again, and he's not facing quite the crazy pick comp that he was last time.
And a bit more protection as well,
there
especially the Janna pick is going to help him a lot in these fights to go with the Kale ulti.
Well, the Kale will take a while to get going, but we know Samsung Blue like that late game. What I'm seeing from OMG here, though, with that Tristana, with that Yasuo locked in, it is all armor. There is no magic on that side.
Which simply means if OMG goes to late game, it becomes very, very hard for them to kill targets because Samsung Blue can stack so much armor on their side.
Thing is, Blue don't really have tanky members, so not a lot of people that would stack armor on this Blue team. A very offensive-oriented team where they rely on precision timing to pull off this team comp, and it's all about the right timing for Janna and the right timing for Kale.
And Dade here actually finally getting to last pick and counter pick his mid lane. Normally he's very confident, he will blind pick his own mid laner and the rest of Samsung Blue will then wait for their picks. This time around he's actually getting to get a counter pick against the Yasuo in the mid lane. Obviously a champion, he's playing a lot, he knows every single matchup there. And OMG's side, I mean this is the comp we see from OMG so often. It's just full on brawling, team fight, we have a lot of bruisers in there, we want to contest every single objective possible and they have the comp to do it, especially with the Aurelia from mid-game power spike.
Orianna locked in. Lots and lots of protection for Deft in this matchup, no doubt about it. OMG though, do they have it in and they have the comp to get rolling in that mid game? Can they get themselves ahead of Samsung Blue and work a big advantage from it?
Yeah, plus, talking about that early and mid-game stages, I mean, Lee Sin combos extremely well with Yasuo as well. We already mentioned the Lee Sin Blitz Aurelia combos with Gogoing, but really, both solo laners, the highlight players for OMG, both work extremely well with Lee Sin. LoveLing here has the opportunity to make some early plays.
Yeah, they have a great and safe bottom lane here. You have Nami Tristana, it's a strong lane. Twitch and Janna shouldn't really be able to punish them, and then it's all about LoveLing looking at these two solo laners and just snowball them as hard as you can to take the win.
Let's see how this one goes, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a tense battle, that's for sure. Samsung Blue, top of the table currently with 2 wins and 1 loss. But OMG, they took down Fnatic earlier on, and they are at 2-2. So whoever wins this matchup will be top in the group by the end of the game.
Yeah, Fnatic gave both of these teams quite a lot of trouble. Just very small margins, meaning the differences between wins and loss for both.
Well, with the lineups locked in, which team do you guys at home think will take victory in this matchup? Tweet us at LOL Esports with the hashtag OMG win or the hashtag SSB win for Samsung Blue. And we'll let you know who you think this voting's going to go after the absolutely epic match between OMG and Fnatic. What do they have left in reserve? Because that may well have taken a lot out of them.
All right, let's see here too, because it's going to be a lot of pressure on Heart. The dive potential with Yasuo plus Aurelia is very, very scary for him. I have to see about the timing for this blue team. Looks like they are not getting any deep wards yet to look at those lanes.
It's going to be hard again. We talk about Deft and his Twitch play here, how he normally doesn't go for these one-on-one solo kills like we see a player like Imp do a lot. And it's also going to be hard if he tries on something like a Tristana who can shoot him away with her ulti and jump away herself, so she's fairly safe in these one-on-ones against him. We're all about team fights, and that's an early one.
OMG tried to collapse, but instead it's Samsung Blue that have come around on towards them. Dada 777. Are they going to be forced to flash away? Dada may well be. He's gone! Flash just stood around, didn't flash instead. Gives first blood to Deft.
So I'm not sure here if Dade was like, okay, I'm gonna die no matter what because Deft is gonna flash after me anyway, and he had 6 poison stacks on him already. But OMG just blindly walking up the blue buff. You have no idea who's actually behind this.
This is a very, very bad sign for OMG. You know, they're a team that sometimes they show up really, really strong, but also sometimes they play extremely overly aggressive, chasing into the fog of war. This time they were blind, go so far deep. Not a lot of reason to go for that chase. It's such a risky play, but they charge straight across the river.
And that was a very standard level 1 from Samsung Blue. Just spread out all across so you can see every entrance into your own jungle. And obviously they just walk up behind OMG. Pick up the first blood for Deft here on Twitch. What a great start. He is going to be swapping to the top lane. We talk about how the bottom lane matchup was in favor of OMG. And obviously also you want to shut down this Aurelia early on.
Yeah, especially if you are trying to get this Twitch to that early Blade of the Ruin King. He's already got the first blood. Now he's going to freeze up on the top side.
OMG were not ready for this lane switch at all, because you can see Samsung Blue, they started out buddy system, no problem. Acorn following Spirit around in that jungle, whereas Gogoing was up in the top lane, and suddenly they appeared. And he's like, guys, anyone going to help me? I need to protect this blue buff now because Samsung Blue are on the invade.
They're really, really aggressive early on here. Gogoing staying around is the only member so far. Rest of OMG wants to join.
This is very hard for OMG to secure. It looks like they're gonna get 3 buffed here. Everybody collapsing for blue. They haven't called Deft yet.
It's a 4-man pile on right now. OMG, it's going to be a smite fight, and I think it's Spirit that will take this one. LoveLing tries to stick around the side. There it is. It's a 3-buff start.
Yeah, this is great play by Samsung Blue because they know they have the AD carry on the top side. They know down this bottom side, San is sitting on Tristana. So there's 5 members from Samsung Blue on the top side of the map. Therefore, they can take control of it, secure the blue buff. The 4 members from OMG couldn't stop them. And if they stay around now, they can also go towards this top side and force OMG away from this top lane.
Yeah, a little bit lazy for OMG to start on their own red buff like that. Definitely is going to cost them early here as they try to fend this turret. At least they do have an extra lane of experience. Tristana's now trying to shove the lane into that turret down bottom. No, he's got it pushing back against him.
So while we had the fight at the blue buff here, Acorn couldn't actually teleport down to this bottom lane, which meant he didn't get to pick up the farm. San had pushed into the tower first because he didn't manage to get the freeze, and he actually managed to bounce it on the tower here. So he can now start freezing, which is Acorn.
He just leveled, that was an explosive shot, explosion right there. So he's leveled explosive shot.
Why would he do that?
So he won't be able to freeze it for long. He's got a really big wave pushing towards him though, so it's not going to be an immediate push, but
that must have been a mistake.
He won't be able to freeze it past this wave. Why? This is the last time he'll be able to keep it on his side.
Yeah, why would he go with that one? Maybe he just did it from level 1, who knows?
Wouldn't matter anyway, they come to shove it.
Yep, they're going to shove it down, and now San will clear it out on towards that tower. So, Not a great start, honestly, for OMG here. We'll see how it continues. Sand should be able to pick up the majority of this wave. We'll miss that last shot there. Spirit hovering around and moving in towards there. Double buffed up, coming around the backside of Cool, who himself has been obviously keeping the pressure on Deft, but he's got to be careful. He should be able to slide through on Spirit. Counter gang comes in. Going to draw them in though. Cool taken very low. Has to throw out that wind wall, and that's going to force him back to base.
Forcing him back to base here, and down this bottom lane, we can see Dada7 actually recall from the top lane. He's going to try and be on the bottom side of the map now to help San. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to deny any farm from Acorn. They might not be able to do it anyway because of the explosive shot from San.
Look at the control from Blue. They didn't have to bring Heart down to the Dragon to defend it at all. Spirit did a good job controlling that bottom side of the jungle. In the early gank mid, they got control. So now after they call it back, they have plenty of time to bring Heart down, and there's not going to be much of a rebuttal from OMG.
All this sweet XP for Acorn here. And also because OMG had sent so many members to the top side of the map, Samsung Blue didn't have to worry about an early Dragon at all. They could go back to their own jungle and farm a little bit, and Acorn could just walk down to this bottom lane. So we have to keep an eye on the CS and the level between these two top laners.
But you've got to wonder, Deft, is he going to be able to trade with Gogoing if he starts to get those levels on him? They've got to be careful he doesn't stick around a little bit too long in this 1v1 lane. He will instead. There's 2 levels over him right now, so no harm on him whatsoever, but they've got to keep an eye on LoveLing.
Well, right now it looks like Heart is taking this opportunity to get a bit deeper ward coverage in the blue side jungle to protect Deft up in this top side. So they will be able to keep track of LoveLing fairly easily as he makes his way up onto this blue side of the jungle. Meanwhile, down here, Da-77 has just been sitting in the lane. And it's been up to Cool, actually. Cool had to go roam and place the deep wards for OMG.
And we actually often see OMG place these very deep wards early on to try and spot the junglers. They don't just ward around their own lane. They want to get into the jungle, put on the camps, see where Spirit is moving around. And obviously, we often talk about Spirit, how he's a bit more of a passive jungler who focuses on counter ganking and the team fighting. But it's simply also because his laners are very strong and somewhat passive as well. They like to just sit back and farm. They don't necessarily need a lot of action early, which opens up for Spirit to just farm and become very, very strong for the team fights, which we will get in the future.
Leaving the straight up duel. Gogoing caught out here. Does get the stun down on Deft, but he's going to turn a big chunk of damage. Didn't get the expunge at the end there.
Came back with his Cutlass ready to roll and immediately forces Gogoing out of lane with a huge wave here. That's going to be a teleport discrepancy. He has to teleport back to, or he's going to lose it. Well, he will get dove.
This one. Sandal Blue can drive.
They can dive him.
TPing in as well. He canceled
it. He cancelled it, yeah.
Double cancel, so the entire wave here lost from Gogoing. The tower will go down as well. Samsung Blue can then swap down to this bottom lane. And Gogoing, he lost a lot of experience and CS right here.
I think that Blue could have waited on that teleport for Gogoing's teleport to completely finish and then trap him there and make him run all the way back. But they scared him off, and it's going to be the entire wave denied. They get the turret very, very low. They can take it whenever they want. OMG can also answer, though, because they've got that explosive shot Tristana been shoving the entire time.
Exactly. Acorn was forced away from this one, so he's also losing out in this bottom wave as well. We'll see whether Sandis decide to finish the turret off. Wouldn't be surprised. You can see LoveLing is waiting just off at the side, expecting some sort of counter, but it hasn't come. Top tower also did not go down, by the way. Gogoing. Shockwave pulled on towards Cool. Flash goes in. Windwall. Is it enough? I'm not sure. One more basic attack. There's the ignite. Dade takes down Cool in a 1v1.
Yeah, not the first time we have seen Cool dying 1v1 in this tournament here. It's honestly been a sloppy performance from him. If you look at all the games played by OMG, he had a good game against Fnatic where he managed to kill Xpector 1 versus 1, but that's actually been about it for Cool. He's not been performing as we expected.
And look at what that gives Blue. Immediately, the entire team floods into this side of the jungle. They take mid, and they're going to dive.
Oh, and the tower's going to drop as well. They're going to dive around the side. Gogoing's got nowhere to hide here, and that's going to be one more hit. That will go to Spirit.
The mid goes down and the floodgates open. Blue just jump on that, taking the entire side of the map. They had already pre-warded it. They knew this was a very easy move up to the top, tower down, and now they've got complete control. Is that wave bounced back too? They've even got the wave up top pushing back against them. They can even freeze this. So much control for Blue right now.
And we always see this pre-planning from Samsung Blue. Place the wards to make sure we can go for this dive on top lane. We're not gonna get surprised by OMG. They are starting the dragon down here. Only hard is actually nearby. This should be a dragon pool.
Yeah, they should be able to take it, so that's a good counter. It does keep them within gold reaches because objectives were starting to fall across the map for OMG.
The problem still stands, though. That top wave right there is going to be in front of the turret, right where Acorn wants it. There's nothing on the bottom side of the map to draw Blue away from that. So as long as they are able to protect him up there, he should be able to keep it. Oh, it runs all the way into the turret.
Well, still, he's going to get all the farm. He's going to get all the XP here. And Gogoing is not level 6 yet. On his Aurelia, he's going towards the Phage, actually delaying, getting a Sheen as well, so you won't have the instant burst from it. Right now, he is pretty far behind, and they actually decide to send him down this bottom lane just to try and get some farm one-on-one against Deft.
So OMG's point of view right now is that they need to shove this top side. They need to get that thing down. They don't want to let Acorn grow big in the top side. Send 2 members up there right now. They might even send Lee Sin up there to make sure. But bottom side, it's the exact same mirror answer here for Blue.
How confident is Deft feeling? Well, it doesn't matter because Watch is coming out to join him. It's a 3v1 dive and Gogoing. He's starting to back away. He's starting to sniff something's up, but he's too late, I think. Spirit will catch on. There's the slow from Heart. The ultimate is running. It should just give him enough lifesteal, and he hangs on for now. The top turret also, though, OMG, they will collapse on this one. Silent's going to take it.
Yeah, mirrored plays.
But this trade is in favor of Samsung Blue because if you look at the top laners, Kale, while you of course want to get strong for the late game, if you want to kill people, you don't have to because of your ulti. You have utility for your team, even if you are behind and have 0 items. You provide as such a strong ulti. Aurelia, she needs to get going. She needs to get a Trinity Force, otherwise she's not going to do anything in team fights.
LoveLing feeling the pressure in his own jungle as well. Spirit's in around there. Samuel finally claps down that top turret. So even in turrets right now, but that middle turret, it's a desperate move. With Samsung Blue, they're going to move in. Cool has to back off. It's just going to take one swing of the sword, and that will go down.
They're also setting up a pick here. You see Deft and Heart were waiting in that bush to see if someone would come by.
It's a 5-man
sitting on a ward. 5 men in mid. This is a Twitch tower siege at 11.5 minutes.
Just look at the wards also around this mid lane here. Everything was pre-warded. They know we can just rotate from bottom lane straight to mid lane. The tower was already low because Cool died one-on-one earlier. And Samsung Blue getting the lead and been able to shut down this Aurelia early on.
One thing that was just shown that will slow them down on these tower sieges is that wind wall. Once Tristana gets fed enough and gets those items on, they will be able to clear those waves off. So Samsung Blue need to keep their maneuvering going, but as of yet, it is all working out so well for them from that very first level 1 kill.
Yeah, Twitch is not the greatest AD carry at actually sieging a tower, but he has the Janna shield to help him. You even have Dade there with his own shield and intervention if needed. There's a lot of protection for him if he wants to go in and hit these towers, and there's not a lot of instant wave difficulty.
It's a trap.
I mean, OMG, this is the second time he's making a very offensive move with no ward coverage here for OMG. This is a completely risky play from Cool. If he shows himself, he's toast, but he holds on to it.
They saw him down here in this ward. Look at down in this bottom lane. There's a ward from Samsung Blue. They saw Cool run from the base. Also managed to spot LoveLing here and decides to just back away. Don't actually want to deal with all these members from OMG.
Yeah, they were waiting for him to jump on that, but he doesn't quite take the bait.
Yeah, it's a tense move because the pressure they are under, the fact that they had that great victory early on, the adrenaline must have been absolutely pumping through their veins, and they do hold on. Dade will clear out that pink ward. Give them a little bit of vision, but instantly we see Heart replace another ward down the bottom and clear out the pink that OMG just placed.
And OMG, because again they're running these items. Oh, Heart. Let's see if he actually wants to place the ward.
Oh,
he
that
is
was
safe.
Not even close.
He is safe, but because OMG once again is running these fight comps, you cannot afford to fall behind, because if you cannot engage in a straight up team fight, you're just gonna watch all your towers die, you're gonna watch all objectives go over to the enemy team, and then the game is over. You need to be able to engage and win fights.
You can see Acorn making a move. He's heading down towards the mid lane. That's freeing up Gogoing in the top lane, but it does mean that Samsung Blue are starting to collapse in and around that mid. They're going to back off. They're buying. It's free time for Gogoing, of course, because the wave was shoved in by Acorn, so he couldn't really go any further. But it does give OMG a little bit of a respite.
The thing is, here goes Deft. Looks like he might be looking for somebody out of position. Again, that's Tristana.
Oh, he's going.
Has a knockaway. He should be fine.
Yeah. Quick rocket jump away. The HQ's
whoa.
Now he's going for it. San having to use the heal there, so Summoner Spell had to be burnt in the end.
He didn't use his ulti before rocket jumping away, so he does have to burn a Summoner Spell. But again, let's take a look at those team fights, because OMG, while it looks like they do have a pretty good team fight comp, there's so many answers from Blue. If the Jana Tornado can push back the initial charge from OMG's Aurelia and Yasuo, they've got this intervention for the Yasuo ultimate. If he even gets that knockup off on Twitch, the ultimate there from Kale is going to be key. So really it's going to be about how many members can get CC'd at once from Blue. If Blue spread out appropriately, they shouldn't lose that team fight because they have so many answers. The exhaust, the Janna, and the intervention. There's just too many things for them to deal with. So OMG got to kind of get it spread out. Whoop!
Oh, they're going to go straight on Dade. He should be in trouble. One more hit. There it is. San gets the kill. They finally get themselves on the board. And now, just in time with 12 seconds before the Dragon.
Yeah, OMG, they do have the pick potential here with the Tristana and the Yasuo to set it up, or the Lee Sin to set it up. Very important pick here. They should be able to take the Dragon as well.
One of my favorite things to see is not having to rely on the Lee Sin plus Yasuo. Like Complexity, they go for the Tristana knockback plus Yasuo, and that pick does award them control over Dragon. They've got teleport on Aurelia, so it'd be very hard for Blue to actually take this fight. The pieces of Blue are so important. They need everybody to pull this team fight off.
Yeah, they have to be as a team if their comp wants to counter OMG. If they stay just 1v1, 2v2, then OMG is looking really, really strong with all their bruises. Let's see what Dade7 can do.
They're going for it. Dade having to flash out of that one. He may get locked in. Spirit jumps up. LoveLing. There's one kill go down. LoveLing with a good kick forces them away. The top lane was shoved in. That's why Acorn's going to teleport. He's going to get himself a big chunk of experience once again and gold as these waves crash against the tower.
That's going to be a big level 10 for him, closing in on that level 2 ultimate fairly soon. Much needed pick there for Blue. Let's see how much ward coverage they can get after the pick. Trying to clean out this red side.
Well, at the moment, OMG slow to respond. Ultimate coming out from Gogoing won't get interrupted by that Howling Gale, but waves will get cleared. Deft once again stealthing in, looking to pop up on someone. Didn't have Bladed Rune King ready though, so it was a risky maneuver. They're sticking around. He's on top of a ward. Have they swept it? Now they will. Now they realize it.
Remember, Acorn has no teleport. He's up in this top lane pushing here. Every other member on the map was around this mid lane. Deft and Hard going down to this bottom. They don't actually want to fight right now, Samsung Blue. They're probably still looking just to scale up here. They want to have the Ghost Blade on your Twitch as well, so you have this fantastic like 6-7 seconds where you have the Ghost Blade, where you have your ulti as well to just destroy people if you pop out in a good position.
Yeah, I mean, people always mention the late game scaling of Tristana, but Twitch is a massive, massive AD carry in team fights in the late game.
Yes. Twitch is all about this burst you can do, doing your ulti, doing your Ghost Blade, and when you pop out of stealth with your Q, which is why these Twitch players on the professional level, if your positioning is not perfect, when you pop up in a team fight, then you get punished.
And it comes back to the importance of that precision timing for Blue to pull this team off. Because if one of those pieces is not there, if that intervention is not in range, if the Janna knockback is not on time, then everything will collapse very quickly. All the members individually are squishy. So if OMG get that split-second opening, then they can knock them over like dominoes.
Deft playing it safe, had that pick ward in the bush, so didn't push any further. Aqua Prism so close to catching on Heart there. The Snake Wave absolutely miles wide. He will back away. Blue buff to Dade there. He's going to pick that one up and keep himself clean. There's not really been any invade, honestly, from OMG to put any pressure on any of the buffs right now. It was all about Samsung Blue getting a triple buff start that's worked so well for them, and they've kept that small gold lead ever since then.
Yeah, OMG's mid-game has been slowed down quite a lot because Gogoing was so far behind after this lane swap here. And now they obviously hit the point where they want to wait for Cool and San to be stronger before they really want to fight. Deft always sneaking in here, just poking a little bit, but you need your Tristana now to get past the mid-game point, and you need these two crucial items on your Yasuo before you can really start looking for more team fights.
Teleport not available here. Cool is pushing on this tower. He's going to get a lot of damage on this one. You can see Acorn's in the top. They were trying to set up a gank of their own. Gogoing was across there. Heart tries to come across. LoveLing does block him away, and they will back off. Wasn't too big a threat on them, honestly, but that's again, lack of vision. They didn't really know what was coming.
There's a big chance we're just going to see OMG continue this 1-3-1 split push they've been doing, where you have Gogoing in the top lane, you have Cool down the bottom lane, and then obviously Sam sitting in the mid lane with his static shift. Once he completes it, and just wave clears on Tristana, and that way you spread out Samsung Blue. As you talked about, Kobe, if Samsung Blue is not together as a unit, they will die. They are very squishy. They cannot defend themselves then. And suddenly OMG could actually control the game.
And we gotta give, props to Deft. We were wondering about what his confidence level was gonna be like today. On Twitch, he has been going for those assassinations. He's been sneaking up for the ambushes.
LoveLing, waiting. I've been noticing LoveLing and Cool very much working as a team, working as that buddy system, trying to come around, trying to put some pressure on towards this mid turret. But again, Samsung Blue read that situation. 5 members quickly there to defend it, while the red buff goes across to Deft.
And we did just hear about the synergy between LoveLing and Cool in his mid lane, of course, outside of the game. Very, very good friends. Maybe too good friends, we don't really know, judging from the video. Seemed like at least they enjoy each other's company.
I don't know where you're going with that one, that's for sure.
Oh, that is great fun.
I dare not.
Me and Kobe are good friends too.
71% for Samsung Blue at the top lane. We do see Acorn shoving that wave out once again. Deft was sticking around nearby, wasn't sure if they were going to find anyone to push in. Lack of ward coverage, honestly, coming out from OMG. They don't really have the vision requirements to make any plays on Samsung Blue. They're just playing this one safe.
Speaking of that vision, I mean, look how close the vision war is right now.
Yeah.
It's right down the river. Both teams know that if they get caught off guard, that split-second opening, the damage is there. The pick potential is there. I mean, we've seen bubbles dodged by a hair, making the difference between life and death. Now, with Dragon coming up, we do get to see Blue grouping up. They want to make use of all of these little pieces of their team comp in unison. See if we can actually get a picture.
But remember, OMG are putting pressure on towards the middle turret. We do see Dade going to kind of cut across. Here comes Deft. Can he start something off here? Stealths in towards them. Gogoing is ready and waiting to strike. Windwall will block off a lot of the damage. Ratatat is running and pounding down on towards OMG. They are forced away from this one. They cannot get close or involved in the next Dragon.
And that's really the power here of Samsung Blue and their comp. When you have an 80k like that, this might not be over yet. You're chasing for LoveLing.
LoveLing doesn't want to use that kick, but he may well have to. Force his spirit into the Dragon. He's like, all right, I'll start it off. No problem.
That probably should be the Dragon too, because that assassination attempt from Deft was all about getting damage down and forcing OMG off of this objective. He had the confidence to go straight up to the front line of OMG.
What are they doing? Why did they re-engage? I do not know. But they're going to try and turn it around. The fact that Ratatat is not available. Intervention being used very early on Deft there. LoveLing tries to safeguard. Oh, he missed it. Oh, Shockwave doesn't land either. Skill shots are flying left and right, but nothing is landing. Samsung Blue are going to force OMG away. The wind wall once again blocking off. And this is a risky play.
Oh,
He comes Deft this time around. He tries to get on towards Cool. Lot of damage coming through. This time they will find their target and they get themselves a kill.
And you can see Deft has the confidence because there's intervention at his back. Monsoon still holding on to that one for Blue. He can go straight up to the front line, open up, because he knows he has the rest of the team there at his back, ready.
And OMG at this point, they shouldn't be looking for these big team fights. They can give up this Dragon because we see Samsung Blue, when there are 5 people together, how confident they are, how they can start fights, and OMG had to run away instantly as his Twitch pops out. Because they know if we jump him, well, there's going to be Shockwave in our face, he's going to get the ulti from Kill as well, and we won't be able to kill him. So 5 versus 5, heavily in favor of Samsung Blue at the moment.
All right, so fighting over the wards here. They again jump right into the front line. Yes, intervention is down, but again, they're still holding on to that one card. Shockwave completely misses, doesn't matter. OMG can't re-engage on this. They just stick around here without much that they can gain. And then Deft comes in from the side. Cool trying to clean up that minion wave.
A little bit of greed at the end there, but OMG, you can't help but notice they came from 3 different directions.
There he is again!
So tricky. That is dead. I don't think he's going to get away. Or is he? There they go on towards Hyuk-kyu, going baited into it. I think he's going to go down. Shockwave flashed away, but Spirit goes deep on this one with the intervention on him. The tower hits will be cancelled out, but OMG go down one more man again, and that's going to open up this middle turret. for Samsung Blue.
It's all about this one pick from Samsung Blue every single time. Deft is the guy sneaking in the front line as the AD carry, get the kill, and just start pushing down these towers. It's gonna be another one.
They have so much push potential. LoveLing going incredibly deep, picks out Deft for the ultimate of course, but he just does next to no damage. The exhaust instantaneously down. Dade gets himself a double. They can keep on pushing through the base. OMG are just going at them, bouncing off them like flies on a wall. And Samsung Blue take themselves an easy inhibitor.
Yeah, that was only a 2-man attempt on a 5-man Samsung Blue team there. Even if you do get that combo, not going to be much cleanup power here. Tristana finally at 2 items, but in a big hole here for OMG.
Yeah, Monsoon is still ready from hard. I don't think we've seen him use it yet because he didn't have to. I mean, Deft was perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Before.
They're playing so well with just the intervention being burned. They get so much damage down in the window that they have with that intervention up that there's no chance for OMG to turn around. They've already sustained too many casualties.
But OMG, again, they had the option to avoid the team fights, split push on the map with their Aurelia, with the Yasuo. They did the same against Fnatic when they had Zed. They kept walking into 5 versus 5 team fights, which actually went in favor of Fnatic, which was one of the reasons this game lasted so long as well, because Fnatic got the lead going. OMG, I know, in China, in LPL, you don't see a lot of split pushing because teams are so good at forcing team fights and kind of remove you from the split pushing part. But in this game, it's the way to win for OMG. They have to split push. They can't go in 5 versus 5. They can never kill them.
They got a 5-man push to mid lane. Take a couple of tower hits. Will Samsung Blue react quick enough, or will this tower finally fall? They've been trying hard on it. There's a lot of hit points on it. Samsung Blue are starting to collapse. The shield goes down there, and I'm not sure they've got enough to take it in this wave. They have 4 members bearing down on them. Deft trying to flank around the side once again. What's all happening? Acorn, of course, is continuing to keep that bottom wave pressure on them. And again, forced away from the mid turret.
Uh-oh, vision control over Baron. That is a very, very bad thing for OMG. There's so much damage on this blue team. They can take that very quickly. And if you go into Fog of War versus this team, a shockwave on one of these jungle pathways, your whole team will be dead in an instant.
Gogoing just teleported back. I think he's going to teleport on towards this ward at the side. They have vision. There's going to scrying off. They can see them on it right now, but that Baron's going down so quickly. I think Samsung Blue will take it before they get close enough. And OMG have to back away. LoveLing caught out. No one to safeguard to. They just left him on his own. And that was a simple pick off. And Samsung Blue, they may just ram this straight down OMG's throat. Go for it. Sand's going to get caught out. Rat-a-tat-tat from range. One more shot. There it is. Contaminate pulled the trigger. And Deft gets himself another.
What a beautiful quadra threat team from Blue. And they're going to march it on. That is the game.
27 minutes gone in this game. And Samsung Blue going to keep on pushing it. Taking down the first Nexus turret, the second one. Will they push on? They've got super minions with them. Why the hell not? They have full control with that Baron buff. Deft goes sneaking in, gets that attack speed bonus, and takes down another Nexus turret. This is full control from a very strong team. Cool tries what he can. Shockwave pull too late. He was already dead. It didn't matter. They're going to get themselves a Nexus and a strong, strong victory for Samsung Blue against OMG.
Yeah, really great comp here from Samsung Blue. Comp we have seen before as well. You have Spirit playing their team fighting junglers like Kha'Zix, where he can clean up fights. He loves to do it. But I have to say, OMG, they're really showing they only have one playstyle, which is just 5 versus 5 team fights. I mean, they had the option to split push. We've seen it before, and they refused to do it. Maybe because they don't feel confident in their split pushing abilities. I don't know what it is.
I mean, they had that one moment where they got to pick mid, and that's about it. This was a scary, scary game from Blue. Very impressive.
And again, I mean, Samsung Blue, they get the perfect game for them. They want to have these team fights, and OMG playing straight into it. They're saying, okay, let's keep team fighting, let's keep team fighting. We are weaker, but we're going to keep trying. We lost, we want to contest every single objective. We always talk about it with OMG. And then it just gave Samsung Blue a fairly easy win, to be honest.
I mean, this is why Acorn has had such success on Kale. This team, they're so confident in their timing, and they trust each other so much in these team fights. Deft constantly right in their faces on the front line because he's ready with all of the defensive abilities.
Exactly. I mean, he just basically gave one of the best AD carries in the world all the confidence he needed to go aggressive. He just walks in there, goes 4-0-5 in the end. Fantastic performance. When you can go in, you know you've got a defensive ball from Dade if he's not going aggressive himself, which he kind of did. He went 5-on-4. We've got the shield, of course, from Jana and that intervention, which was used so many times on him. Just pure confidence, and you saw in Deft's play how aggressive he was being. He was just like, I'm going to walk into this team. I don't care if there's a Yasuo in my face. I can deal with him.
Even worse for OMG, if they collapse onto Deft and like, yeah, we can kill you now. Multiple members, well, Shockwave from Dade is going to be pretty easy to land then and just get all of them, kill them. He didn't even have to do anything in this game other than kill cool one-on-one in the mid lane, because teamfights was all about Deft just doing all the damage and all the protection from everyone else in the fights here.
Oh, well, of course, while the game is still fresh in your heads, share your highlights by tweeting us at LOE Esports and using the hashtag #WorldsBigPlays. And, of course, to take us through that victory for Samsung Blue, we're going to go over towards the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Another pretty clean win for Samsung Blue. I think some credit has to be given to OMG for at least remaining relevant as far as CS is concerned up till the 20-minute mark. But then I think just a whole bunch of brain farts. I can't understand some of the decision-making. Before we get to that, let's talk about the lane swap. Monty, I know you quite liked the lane swap early on and some of Blue's plays around the map.
Yeah, I know. I was like flipping out here for that first teleport play that we saw on the desk. I was so excited to see that because I've never seen it before. And when I talk about Acorn, I like to describe him as a player, a top laner that's like death by 1,000 cuts. He's not the guy who's going to get the big haymaker play, but he is the guy who's going to outsmart you in very, very small ways and then get a massive advantage over a long period of time. And in that situation, what we saw was he had successfully pushed in the lane swap. He was bottom on Kale, pushed the lane into the turret. Meanwhile, the Deft was freezing in top lane, had piled a big wave. Now, Deft comes back into the lane with his cutlass, doesn't use it, but still chunks Gogoing out of lane. Now, both top laners are heading back, but Kale has a long time to walk into the lane without losing any CS. Gogoing starts to teleport top. However, Twitch had just hit 6, and then also still had the Cutlass active up, and then Acorn decides to teleport as well. They both cancel because otherwise Gogoing would have just died to a dive, and he lost the entire minion wave, and then Acorn could just safely walk back in and get all of that experience, and their teleports were still synced up. I've never seen anybody do that before. It just goes to show how well these guys play across the map as a team. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, all I can really say is absolutely great play by him. Acorn did do really well. Basically, sorry, I had like a random point stuck in my head. 30 points offense masteries, by the way, just for what that one's worth. I started like looking at his builds, and I got like distracted. You started talking about Acorn some more. I was like, hey, it's on my screen still. So yeah, but that was kind of all I wanted to bring up as far as related to that point.
So let's talk a little bit more about Samsung Blue in that win. As I said, as we got more and more into the game, they roamed around the map, they pushed the towers. They didn't get a big lead by any stretch of the imagination, but the aggressive play that D-Man was talking about, Deft would get in everybody's face, put down the spray and pray, and then Cool would just decide to pick up 4 minions and then die anyway. I can't understand some of the decisions that OMG were making, especially after the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and it's not like OMG was outcomped in any way either, because when I think of Twitch, I think of the most annoying champions to play Twitch against. That is Yasuo, who is incredibly good at taking down non-mobility carries. Wind Wall is also probably the biggest counter in the game to spray and pray, so all you have to do is wait for him to initiate, put down your Wind Wall, spray and pray is useless, or rat-a-tat-tat. Also, Tristana, really hard champion to pick, right? Normally 80 carries, Twitch is looking to kill the enemy 80 carry, but Tristana is incredibly safe. So Deft was down 50 CS in the mid-game, but he still was able to make plays and make that team comp work, which props to him and props to Samsung Blue. They played their team comp really well.
I mean, we're knocking OMG a lot, which I think is warranted, but the one thing they did do well this time, which is different from the last time they played Yasuo, is they did split push for about, like, 90 seconds. They sent Lee Sin in the jungle on the bot side and had Yasuo split to tier 2, and then they go, wait, why are we doing this? Let's go fight or something. They recalled and they went to fight. So they had glimpses of the value of split pushing, but I don't think they really grasped that that's what they needed to do with that Yasuo.
It's definitely something that the shoutcasters are talking about consistently. So Samsung Blue, again, showing their prowess on the map. Tomorrow they play 2 games, one against LMQ, one against Fnatic. I asked both of you guys before the game, what do you do if you are Fnatic? What do you do if you are LMQ watching that game? What would your advice be to those players, considering it is LCS squads going up against the #1 seed from Korea?
Well, just looking at that comp, that was a very Twitch-centric comp. You know, they had Ori, Kale, and Janna to kind of beef up the Twitch. If if they're so confident to run that comp, even into champions like Yasuo and Tristana, like I said, those are probably the biggest counters to Twitch, then Fnatic just has to play, I think, the same style that OMG did, the same team comps, but better. Just execute it better.
We'll have to see if they can do that. Let's take a quick look at the standings before we head into that final game of the day. We'll be keeping you up to date with the results as and when they come in. So there you go, Samsung Blue 3-1. Got a couple of games buffer between Fnatic and OMG at the bottom of the table. We're just about to watch Alliance taking on Da-yoon Shield in a moment or two. So we'll see how that game pans out. And a lot of pressure on Alliance's shoulders, I feel, probably as they are preparing for this game after you've seen them win earlier today. What are they thinking about as they are getting set up on stage?
I think they need to just remind themselves what their strengths are as a team. Like, they have really strong solo laners, and I think they just need to get it in their head that they can win laning phase if they try hard, if they get the champions they want, and they need to just put that in their head. This is our game plan. This is how we need to win.
All right, we'll see if they can. They did win early game last time against Da-yoon Shield. So we are going to take that quick break, and the world's action will continue shortly when Europe's Alliance takes on Korea's Da-yoon White Shield. Guys, don't go anywhere.
Going for it, Dade having to flash out of that one. He may get locked in. Spirit Chops on him. There's one kill go down, and this is a risky play.
Oh,
He comes back this time around. He tries to get on towards Cole. Lot of damage coming through. They have so much push potential. LoveLing going incredibly deep. Picks out Deft for the ultimate of Cole, but he just does next to